What do you gentlemen think is the biggest challenge a new band is facing in today's musical climate?
It's not simple anymore. You just don't sign a record deal, and all of a sudden it's all done for you. That's how I think a lot of bands looked at it. They signed record deals and went on. They thought it was all done. Now you have to work so hard just to be able to get to the point of ever putting a record out.
Maybe the biggest challenge today is for a band is for them to distinguish themselves from the pack. There's so much access today for everybody that kind of making your own mark is tough.
Joe.
I would agree with Brett. The internet made so many opportunities happen to so many people that didn't have them before, but now everybody's all in the same spot, and how do you distinguish yourself in the glut of product that's on the internet? It seems even harder than it used to be, because it's just too easy to get your stuff. Oh, I'm there.
Does the cream rise to the top?
There's too much room for cream.
There's what? Not enough room?
There's too much room. There's too much room out there.
Okay, so there's like space deficit like that. Tom, what's your take on it?
How to look at your art and how to communicate it in different forms is really the challenge, and that's using the internet as a tool. You kind of have to embrace what's happened in the music industry. You have to embrace the fact that people have really quick access to you, and you have to turn it around and make it work for you. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people have failed to do in the music industry, and that's why they've been hurt at these big labels, because they wouldn't embrace the fact that kids were using technology for easy access to the entertainment that they wanted. So I think that if you realize that these things are all tools for you, then you can expand your art and you can distinguish yourself from the pack. And I think that's the goal of this next generation of bands, personally.
Max, hasn't been that long since you've actually made that whole, jump.
Personally, I think that this is the most extreme time, like you guys stated, with all the kind of cookie cutter music that's out there nowadays. In my opinion, that it's like it's kind of intimidating for bands that are doing something different. You know what I mean? You're just like, how can we thrive? How can we stand out in this environment?
Phil, your band is
Hello.
now on Epitaph, and I was going to ask you about how you feel the climate change has been.
Everything is so accessible, and it's so easy for everyone to be at a particular level that, just like you said a few years ago was much more difficult to get to. You're appealing to kids that don't necessarily want to pay the extra money for a CD. When CDs came out, the attractive thing to it was the quality. You're getting this great sound quality. It's the best thing. Now, we sacrifice quality for 5,000 songs on your iPod, sort of thing. So I think that's the biggest change that the majors haven't been able to keep up with, or they reacted to too late, where you might have to write 2 records every year or something to kind of keep up. Like who knows how it's going to go.
Hey, that worked for Kiss.
Yeah.
Kiss, they're like your classic rock bands used to do like 2 records a year.
I mean, I think you hit it right there. Like it's like a lot of the bands that we know, like Bouncing Souls right now. They're like put out a song a month and take care of their 100,000 real fans and try to service those fans and not worry about the millions of people out there. They're just going to go service that maybe 100,000 kids that have really gotten into them and take care of those fans. I think that's how it's going to change.
My instinct is that as much as like I would like to see the creative part of me, would like to see people find a new way to sell records or sell music online or through, creative, but at the same time, like I think kids coming out to shows and things like the Warped Tour, like I sort of felt that way when I was growing up. I was like, when the bands that I saw that were playing in small clubs that just toured endlessly started to become the bigger bands that were getting signed to major labels, I was just like, I feel like this is where it's going, and it really has, where it's like the bands that people come to see live and put on a good show and endlessly tour are the bands that are successful. So, I think that's a good thing. And even if that's like the worst case scenario where it's like, I'm just gonna have to tour with my band for the rest of my life. Okay, like, so that's cool, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna sell 1 million records maybe, but hopefully.
Nobody sells 1 million records anymore, man.
But that nonstop touring separates the people who are in it for the long haul. And if you really believe in what you're doing, if you're doing like 4 months on the road nonstop, playing in Crib Death, Iowa, and like 5 people show up, that kind of like, well, all right, we'll kind of do this. Hell with this. I'm going back to be the power tool inventory guy at Home Depot. I'm done with this.